Hello, my YouTubing community. How are you all? And that tonight, I'm going to talk about depression and how people with depression, and this goes for both sides, clinical and trauma, right, on what we go through and what we desire. And it's we want stimulation, shock. Our old way is no good. We've changed. We've come to realise that we can't, we're not going to be what we once were and what everyone liked and stuff. We're something else now. We're the same person, but we're different. And we seek stimulation because when you're in a situation where you're uneasy, right? You want calm, but you want things to do, so your mind doesn't run away from you. And that's in both clinical depression and in trauma. Now, that covers it. That's that. And so we'll do things, right, to get a rise, to see what happens. We don't mean to offend. We don't want to offend. Believe me, we have covered the pain barrier and then some. If you know someone who's got depression, or you've reached out to someone who's got depression, or they've come out and they've said that they've gone through some trauma, whatever, understand this: that person doesn't want to hurt anybody, let alone offend. Not saying that what their actions might be an action they might do or something, and it may offend somebody or upset somebody, but what you need to do is understand what you've taken on. This person has a battle, right, between themselves. So there could be two or three. In my case, it's, well, okay, you've got your pain, absolute pain. Then you've got your sorrow, you've got your joy, and then you've got your numbness, and you don't want to be here anymore. Now, some people mightn't have all of those. They might just have, the pain and the joy. That's it. You don't have to, there's no set how many you have, right? That's why with people who suffer from depression, or, just they've been hurt, whatever, they want to be stimulated to do something, get up, it pushes them, right? I'm not an advocate for people taking drugs, but I'm just going to say that's what pushes a lot of people to taking drugs. Stimulant drugs, cocaine, ice, speed, eckies. It stimulates them. It gets them up and going and doing something else. In the short term, yeah, okay, it gets them going. Long term, then the drug takes a hook, and if you don't monitor it, or you can end up in a world of shit and go down another path, and then another rat hole. That didn't happen to me. I did take drugs, but I didn't go down that rat hole of out of control crime and everything else like that. No. The sorrow one is, if that's prominent in your depression, you'll find people in the sorrow mood, they'll tend to drink. So they'll just want to forget. But really what they want to do is they want to kill them kill something inside. They want to drink themselves to death. They mightn't want to kill themselves, but that's what that's what they are actually doing. So the people who've got a bit of anger, pain, pain is very sharp. It digs into you. It'll keep you up. Sorrow is more lethargic, like grieving. You'll sit back and you'll think of the memories or what it's and what could have been. And I guess what I'm getting at is this. So if you know someone who's going through, got these things, you have to understand that if you're getting to know them, they're going to display some you're going to see them going through some motions. People who've got depression, clinical or through trauma and that, they're always trying different ways to find joy in their life. And what I've found, and I'll stop there because I'm getting into something now that I want to get into before. So, as for shock value, right? How's that? Hey? So you have a bit of shock value, eh? Have a laugh. You know? In no way does this point out my sexuality at all, okay? Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Right? In no way. So, but see, you're all having a laugh now. Going, what the bloody hell JB doing? Well, this is getting a shock, isn't it? Makes you see. Makes me see something. It maybe you'll listen to me and all of you will start putting some comments up instead of 2 or 3, you know, from my staunch supporters. I'd like everyone to put a comment up, you know, and that. We're going to start talking. This is the thing, this is what I'm getting at. Right. So, let me tell you, when you make a friend who's suffering, say, we use me for example, right? I put a video out against my better judgment. It's not the type of thing I do, but I do it because I want people to get something out of it, and they are. But it's a fight to make these videos because this isn't me. A lot of people, I'm more keep to myself. And when I say keep to myself, people with depression, they'll have 1 or 2 people in their life that they can turn to no matter how they're feeling. If you've got 2 of those people in your life, very lucky. You're very lucky. Unfortunately though, some people and those 2 people mightn't be either one of your partner. In most cases it's not your partner. So, and before you've realised that, you're going through the realisation that your partner is not picking up your changes, or they are and they're just not asking. There's definitely a very long road for most people. It's probably more painful than the actual cause of the depression that compounds the initial one. And that's, they're sitting there, they're in pain, and they're watching their family members and their close friends not seeing this. And you start to go, well, how can you say you love somebody when you can't see these changes? You know, you can see it. You know you've changed. You're not doing that anymore. You're not doing this, or you're doing that different. These are routines, guys. That's why I say to people, make sure you have a routine. Because if that routine changes, then people can see it. You know what I mean? If people don't have routines, you know, how is anyone to know that you're sick or something's not right? There's something they wouldn't do, you know, to say that. You don't display a routine. Routine is very important from childhood to get into. Right? It helps people to diagnose you better, and you to be able to diagnose others. Happy, sad, angry, you know, distant, because of routine that will change, and you'll see it. But if you're a person that is just like, you know, carefree on, you know, there's spontaneity. You can be spontaneity. That's fine, and still have a routine. You know, you can have no fixed address and live on your bike. You know, you still got a routine. There's the way you speak, the way you approach people. There's things, you know, that keep a routine. And if you don't keep that, or you keep on changing, you know, the game yourself, people they can't keep up. Well, it's not about keeping up. They're just like, I can't do this. And you'll be very lonely. And it'll take a very special person to be able to hold you and ground you and put you into a routine, so people can see when you're upset, and then you know they can see you, and then that makes you sort of feel better because you're getting seen. There's a lot of people out there who suffer from depression. Something's happened in their life and they're ignored. And that was what happened with me. And that, you know, doing security, you know, everyone's gone, and the life I've led and stuff, you know, or nothing hurts Justin, you know, he'll be fine, you know. It's like I've always said, where does Superman go to cry? You know, Superman's the one who's stuck. He doesn't change. You know, the Hulk, he's big green, and then he down, and he's a different person. He can cry now. He won't cry when he was old, but he can cry now because he's different. People won't associate. Spider-Man can cry because he's got the uniform off. He can cry. People don't know who it is. Batman, same thing. All these other superheroes. Superman. Where does Superman go to cry? Can't cry if he's Clark Kent, because Clark Kent's perfect. Got nothing to worry about. People know Clark Kent. He's got a routine, hasn't he? Yeah. You know, my routine was... people should have seen it, and that's when you realise that the people you've got in your life... But you've always known this too. You've always known this. There's no pulling over the wool over the eyes here. And a lot of you will understand what I'm saying. You know. You already know. You know they don't care. And so you do that on your own, and that's another painful road while you're getting over or trying to come to terms with whatever has affected you in the first place. But getting back to so once these people have understood and they've come out, whatever, like say me, and you make me your friend and stuff, you need to understand that when, I don't mean to offend, we don't mean to offend, it's the last thing we do. But you need to understand, all of you need to understand that people like us, we've lost our joy. There is no joy anymore. So we will seek joy. Some will be, persistent and, oh, what are you doing? You want to go for it, things like that. And that could be quite annoying to you if you just make it. But you need to understand that you've got something that they don't have anymore. So I say this, now that you know that, why wouldn't you show someone your joy? Because that might be something they could take on. Not with you, but, we're basically relearning again. The life we had, it's gone. We can't go back there. It's changed. That's what amazes me when people throw their hands up in the air and they go, oh, I can't do this. Well, what can't you do? You throw your hands up. You're throwing your hands up about me. You can't do this anymore. What am I doing? I'm not putting any pressure on you. I'm not asking you to do things. I'm not asking you to come around and wake me up. I'm asking you, I just want you as a friend. And just be there. At a phone call's distance. Not at a hand distance. And you're finding that too hard. Let me tell you something. I've already given up. You all need to understand that when you come across someone and you've made a friend who suffers from depression or something's happened in their life and they're traumatized by it and they're just they see you and they see they're happy that someone's paying attention to them. And the last thing they want is to upset us, upset you in any way. So when you say to us, I can't do this anymore, what, you giving up on us? You could be that lifeline. That's why I say to people who've got depression, think about others. Think about others. And it's amazing that, because I've actually proven that there is a connection with people who are broken. For example, Julie over in America, she's all the way over there. She became a subscriber of mine, and I'll tell you why. Because I was the only one out of the people who went, I won't say their names, but I was the only one always spruiking Forgotten Angels. was the only one. And that's what she picked up on. She picked up on that. So don't think people who are suffering in pain aren't paying attention. Oh, we are. We are. We mightn't see the big things, but a lot of people don't see the big things. But there's also a lot of people who don't see the little things. And people who suffer from depression, let me tell you, we start with the little things. And then we realise that they are the big things, the little things. So Julie became a subscriber, and she said that. She said the only reason why is because you were yourself, you were genuine. And I, was very thankful for David and Cindy, and Shep, and Forgotten Angels. And that, like, you form a connection. I've never met Julie physically. Spoke to her on the phone once or twice. We message each other. Same with Desi in Tasmania. I've never met her physically. And so with Andrew in Horsham, who made the bell for me, and Danny. And James and Ash, Jamie and Ash. And then David, and I'm bringing up people who are suffering. And we've all done it at one stage. We've reached out to each other right on that right time. How's that? Not one of our other friends who aren't suffering, that you'd assume would have the time to pay attention or whatever, or to think of us. No, it's the broken ones thinking of someone else, and we get a feeling. We listen to we read their last message and the words, and you can pick it up. I mean, I saved a kid on a swing. I think you all remember that, I rang him straight up. Then there was Greg. A lot of the people here haven't tried to kill themselves, and I don't want them to experience that. That's why I'm here to tell you what the signs are, so you see them and you can stop. This video is more to people who take on a friend who suffers a bit. This is what you're in for. So I'm not saying we can't be held accountable for our actions. We can, most definitely. But if we say something just like off the cuff, we'll hang on to things tight, and if we think we're losing them, we'll squeeze it, because we've lost so much. We've lost a lot on what's caused the depression, and then we go home and no one asks us why. How are you feeling? And that could go for months. It was like Scotty. Him just saying to me, he said, I got something out of it. It was good. Thanks, mate. So for you people who make friends with someone who suffers from depression, clinical or through trauma, understand this. That person's dealing with anywhere up to 4 different emotions. And if you're going to be a friend to this person, you need to see each one of those emotions to know what you've got. I might be sort of saying that you're sort of grading this to see if it's worth being a friend. Well, I am, because that's what you do. Because it's always the ones who aren't suffering from depression that throw their hands up in the air and go, I can't deal with this. And I've had a couple of people do that since I've come out, and it hurts because I did nothing wrong. They make it out that I've done something wrong because I haven't called. Come on. I don't go on about whatever it is. They can just see I'm down. I don't need to hear. You don't do this with people. You don't compete with them. You don't go, oh, you know, what are you down about? Oh, I lost my father. It's not a competition like that. Andrew lost his son. Okay? Andrew won't mind me saying this. I was up there. I went up there and visited Andrew, right? The same week. It was the same week. And it was, I think it was a Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And I was up there, had a cup of tea. And I asked him, how's his daughter and how's his son? He's gone, yeah. And funny enough, Andrew turned around and he said, yeah, he drinks this, trying to get him off and get him to the hospital, get him to the hospital to clean up, It's about due. See, routine. And anyway, I left. And I was out with Peter and Mark on, with the Harleys, and it was Friday. And Andrew rang, and I missed the call, and then he rang again, and I took it, something's not right. And he said to me, my son went to hospital last night. It was actually that night. Well, I was up there that night, so Thursday night. He went into the hospital up there, and then they ended up transporting him down to Melbourne. And Andrew was telling me, I said, oh mate, sorry, it's all right. That was Friday. So Andrew saw him Thursday at the hospital in Horsham, and then they transferred him to Melbourne. So Andrew was up at Horsham, and anyway, so he tells me that Friday, okay, yep, no good, mate. Let me know. Let me know if anything changes. Well, I get a phone call Saturday, and it's Andrew, and he's saying his son passed away. What do you say? He was a man. He wasn't a boy. He was a man. And it was drinking. And he knew it. But it's still my mate's son. just because he drank didn't make him an evil person. He was doing it to himself. Nothing else. So I went straight up there. I made a video that day when I left Andrews about it. Now that's Andrew's loss. Now, I lost Glenn. Glenn and I aren't related. We're not blood. We're not brothers. What I'm getting at is Andrew doesn't come at me and say, Justin, I lost my son. That's more painful than losing Glenn. You understand what I'm saying? And people, a lot of yous do that with us. You come in and you say, this happened to you. I don't give a fuck. It's not the broken finger. And then you come in and you break your fucking hand. It's the broken finger that stopped you from being able to do that. It's not that breaks you. It's like this. See this? Look, watch my hand. Watch my hand. See my finger? See my little finger? I did that. This is how I did it. I was getting the weeds like this, with this, yeah? And Mary come home. And, you know, she's come home, you know, it said something, whatever, you know. And she said something, I said, hey. So, you know, I've done that for the past 2 weeks. You haven't said anything. Not that I want praise for it anyway. Right? But today, she came out and that's what it was, the leaves. There was leaves through the house, right? But I've been vacuuming, I've been cleaning up, but I hadn't finished. I just jumped the fence to get rid of the weeds and that, and she's come out, she stormed in, come home, she's going like this, and I've just gone, oh, and then I gripped it like this, see? I gripped it like that, and I went, bang, and my hand slid down like that, and opened it up, mate. That. Now, yeah, I did it. That was my action. Fuck yeah, dickhead. Right, and it was immediate. Oh, that fuck, I knew that. It was pain, different pain. I blame myself for that, but the cause of it was Mary. That's what I say. When we went to the earth there, to have a look at, I knew there was a problem. That's a problem. You know why that's a problem? Because I box and I ride motorbikes. Yeah? I'd much prefer it chopped off. Because, look. Right. Anyway, I'm sitting there, the nurse, the triage nurse, looking at me and everything. She said, what happened here? I said, oh, I was cleaning some weeds, and the missus said something on it, and, you know, pissed me off a bit, and, you know, and that, and she sort of went like this, and I said, yeah, well, you know, people have got to learn, don't bring dark clouds home. Don't bring them home. Don't come in a mood. Because if Mary hadn't come in like that and approached like that, that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't be there. People don't think anymore 2 steps, 3 steps down the line. You know, I'm sick of hearing people say, no, they do security there, security there. You know what, I've never heard anyone say about security, right? You know, the ones who were saying it, they want to be noticed. I don't want to be noticed. I just tell people what I've done, right? Who I've helped, who I've done, you know, think of that. That's it. At the end of the day, I know full well, no one cares about security. The publican only cares about the people, the customers in the pub. The customers will care about the victim that you've just thrown out there, right? And everyone else who's bleeding and everything else. No one cares about security. No one turns around. I've never heard anyone say, how's security? So if you make a friend who suffers from depression, and they can be up and down and whatever, but they're pretty stable. I'm pretty stable. I just, when I go down, I go down. I don't make a hoo-ha, and we don't hurt people. We don't lash out. That's really, I've never seen that. Even Danny can be, he can be quite the handful sometimes, but he's not malicious. You know what I mean? We can be easily gaslighted too. People do that. But stepping back and making us feel guilty, why? Why would you do that? I mean, we're dealing with these different emotions. Why can't you just show us what you enjoy? Isn't that why you became our friend? It's not that you knew what taking on. I think people just need to understand that if you make a friend, really be there. Really care. Because all I'm seeing at the moment is a lot of broken people contacting each other. Desi's contacted me, I've contacted Desi, I've contacted Julie, she's contacted me right when we've needed it. Andrew, I've contacted Andrew, Andrew's contacted me. Glenn, another Glenn. Don't think we don't see. We don't want to show you our pain. We want to see what you enjoy. Because we've lost ours. Ours is gone. So we're going to learn again. And that might be harder with some and easy with others. Hey? And I don't hear people giving up on blind people. If that blind person's taken a while to learn how to use the stick or the dog, I've never heard anyone go, and they just walk off. No, they don't. Well, it's the same thing here. Don't walk off on your friends. You make a friend. You tell them you love them, you're going to be there and everything else. Well, you know what? Be there. Be a friend. Because understand this. Right? We've sat there, we've gone through the trauma of what caused it, and then we've had to sit there, most of us have had to sit there and realise that our family, our own flesh and blood, and our partners, whatever, aren't seeing our pain. Well, they are seeing it, they don't care. And then we're sitting there and we're realising what a waste of time this part of my life is. I've wasted my time here. They actually don't care. And then you come into their life. Don't do the same thing. You might be the one. That last strand. Yeah? That's how quick it is. That's how quick it is. And to leave you with some thought, years and years ago, up at Mildura, there was a husband and wife and their 2 daughters. The wife was a nurse. The husband, he was a farmer. They had a farm. And they had 2 daughters. Anyway, his wife, travelling to work, was involved in a car accident. A pretty serious one. That left her dependent. She was she's dependent. which really strained the relationship. Very, very strained it greatly. And being out rural, family and friends are not close. And when you're out that far, and when you get to visit, you've obviously called, so preparation's been put in place. So when you get there, you don't actually see the cracks that's happening. His wife's condition was what it was. It was never going to get better. It was only just going to get worse as you get older. She couldn't work. So obviously the home's taken a financial hit. Being primary producer, you know, I want you to just take a moment and try to understand. This wasn't the life that either of them wanted, but it happened. And it's a life that takes two. And they've got so much on. They can't walk away from it either. They'd be broke. There's nothing left. Primary producers in Australia do it very hard. So this husband was having to deal with the daughters and the wife. I'm just telling the story. And at the end, I'm going to take. Anyway, a tragedy happened. Friends or authorities were called to the property. They hadn't seen them. They went to the property. The wife was shot. The two little girls were dead. And they found him. He'd driven his tractor into the dam and rolled it. He drowned. He loved his wife greatly. Seeing her like that, and what they were speaking about, I don't know. You don't know. So we can't say what he did was not agreed to. They were buried together in a line, and her sister kissed his coffin. So she understood. Still wrong. But no one was there 24/7 to know what was actually being planned or what was happening. If people had paid more attention, could it have been different? Probably. Maybe not. I don't know. He obviously loved his wife. He stayed. She stayed. He kept her. He looked after her for a number of years. It's like the old man who killed his wife, you know. They found her dead. She was 86 and he's 89. But she's suffering from dementia. How would you be with someone all your life and then to see them forget you and to see the fear in their face because they don't know you? It's a bit like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, isn't it? With the Indian. That wasn't his friend anymore. But he didn't want to leave him like that. I hope you're all understanding what I'm trying to say. We've given up on ourselves. We don't expect you to pick us up. We don't put weight on you. We just want to be your friend and for you to show understanding, and when we do show our emotions, that's a big deal for us because it's new ground for us. The old ground over there, you didn't get to see that. No one did. That's all they had to be left behind. Some people have had to walk away from entire families because it's a new ground. But there's a lot of pain, not just from the initial thing. So to say to someone, oh, I can't do this, well, stop calling. Or they may have said something and you've taken offence to it straight away. Hang on. People forget. Just think, watch a person's actions. Actions speak louder than words. Watch their actions. Okay? These days, too many people listen to words. Watch the actions. Alright? Go get a pie. Love you all. How you going, Paul? Andrew? Hey! The wig, eh? What's next? Wear a dress?